This is actually a true story, not Lily buying a house, okay? But what you should actually do when you go to the bank is look at how much you make, how much money you have spending and how much you can afford. So when I went to the bank, I said, you know what? I can afford $1,000 every 2 weeks. So I got paid every 2 weeks. I thought that's what I can afford for a house. And the bank came to me and they said, okay, great, you can afford X amount of dollars for your mortgage. What people do, my brother-in-law, he's a good person, he'll all of them tomorrow about what not to do with money. He says, he looks at the shop and he's about to get married. He goes, you know what, I want to buy a house that's worth $480,000. He just decides that. Okay, this is a beautiful house, 3 acres, and in the country. I want to be a farmer on the weekends, and cut hay and all that stuff. Whatever he wants. So he wants to just be able to take his axe out and chop stuff down, okay, on the weekend. So anyway, the point is though, that's who society wants to get though. He has no idea if he can afford it. He has no idea what that's going to cost. He has no idea what any of these things, okay. So with this, the better way to do it, decide what you're going to afford. As far as the interest rate, that's high for what it is now, but it works out nicely for this question. 25 years is what they set you at initially for a mortgage. We're going to talk tomorrow about how we can fix that up. That's depressing. Let's say you get married at 25. Another 25 years, that's until you're paying off your mortgage until you're 50. You can actually stretch out your mortgage to 35 if you really want to be insane. If you buy a house at 25 and you have a 35-year-old mortgage, you're 60 years old and you're just paying off your mortgage. It's depressing. Okay, that's awful. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Story football players, you won't be able to hear my sob story. Okay, but that's that. Okay, so here we go. Lily goes to the bank and tells the bank she can afford $2,000 per month for her mortgage. If the interest rate is 6% compounded monthly and she pays it off after 25 years, how much money can she borrow and how much interest does the bank make? If this doesn't make you want to cry, this question, nothing will. And I apologize if anyone gets depressed after this question, they should. Where did I stop at? Vanessa, can you recite from memory or from the page the PV formula, please? Go ahead. Now, let me just say a few things. Number one, I will show you later on the course where these equations come from. I didn't want to show it to you in this unit because your mind will explode because you don't know how to do the background yet. But by the end of the course, I'll show you where these equations actually come from. Secondly, and this goes back to you, what key wording here tells you should be using PV in this question? Mortgage, borrows, there's a whole bunch of them, okay? Pays back, there's a whole bunch of keywords here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write all my unknown information at the top left here. PV equals R equals. Yes, you certainly do. Okay. Because what's going to happen on your test is I'm going to throw one where there might be two things that are missing. And you may have to throw two equations together. Yes, I'm cruel like that.
Are you going to give us an example?
Cool. Don't worry, I'll be cool. Ben, can you sub in something for this equation? R is 2,000. Okay, so $2,000 a month. And before you say, "Oh, that's incredible," I pay more than $2,000 a month for my house, which is why I dress so poorly. Okay, that's the reason. That was okay. That was supposed to be like a pathetic. Like that's not a joke. As an aside, you guys don't need to hear this probably, but the other one doesn't need to hear this. That's the whole story. That's the whole story. That's all I got. Matt, go ahead. What else do I know? Very good. Now, Matt, and that should be 300. Matt, why did you times out by 12? 12 months in a year. So you're starting off with 25 years. You're timing it by 12. Okay. Colton, what's my I, please?
0.065
Yeah, what is that, please?
0.005.
Okay, now, please note, I say please note a lot, I can't help it. For your interest, you have to use the exact decimal possible. Okay, so 0.06 divided by 12 is 0.005. If it was like 0.005, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can leave all those decimals in, okay? All right. Kylie, can you sub some numbers into the equation, please? Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, now you can skip all these steps I'm going to show. All right, but I'm actually going to show them here for a reason because not everyone's calculator is a super duper calculator. Lily, I'm going to start with you. What is 1.005 to the power negative 300, please? Can you do that? Now you can skip all these steps if you want to, but I want you guys, you should be pumping this into your calculator. Go ahead. Do plus 1. Try to the negative 300, not to the 300, to the negative 300. So 1.005 to the exponent of 300 plus minus. Did you get that, Taylor? Go ahead. 0.22396566. I'm assuming there would be if you had a super calculator a little longer. Okay? All right, now, if your calculator can do all this in one step, do it in one step. Okay. Now I'm going to show you something amazing. Do you want to show? Can I show off my math skills for a sec? Oh, come on. There's one time I get to show off the whole year. All right, every day I show off. Is that right? Somebody, is that right? That is correct? That's good. All right, good. Okay, so that was 1 minus 0.22396568 is 0.77603431. Okay, can someone please times that by 2,000 and divide that by 0.005? Did you get something different? If you did, please interrupt me here. Did you get something different? We're good? How did I do that? Okay, so what I just did was I did 1 minus this, like 1 subtract that answer. Okay. Then we get the number 2,000 times that divided by that. Georgie, please tell me you did 2,000 times that divided by that and you got a big answer. Go ahead. That's fine. What'd you get for an answer? Did you get? Your final answer. Do it then.
Yes, but
I got 155.
What?
I got 155.
Divided by this?
Yeah.
Divided by that. Divided by that. It should be divided by how much? Go ahead. We'll start 115.
413.
Yeah. That's we got?
Yeah.
Sorry, do you have this on?
Yeah, that's what I got for the.
yes. Yes.
No, right.
Oh, you missed a zero someplace. And then you divide by 0.0005, or you're going to be like 0.05. Okay, if anyone was totally out to left field on this question, totally way off, raise your hand, I'll get this fixed up. Okay, so there are some people, let's call them Georgie, who want to go right from here to here in one step. You can do that as long as you're right. But if you screw up, there will be problems, okay? I'd recommend doing it like this. You don't make mistakes. Now, that answers the first half. So that's a $300,000 house. That's a lot of money for a house, okay? That's more than my house. And she's paying $2,000 a month, okay, for 25 years. Depressing, okay? Let's figure out how much she actually paid. How would I figure out for interest? That's how much interest she actually paid for this. Anyone have any idea? Okay. In order to figure out how much interest there is, the interest is going to be her payments minus how much you borrowed. Okay. Because let's say, for instance, that she borrowed $310,000, she'll have given the bank more than $310,000, right? She'll have given $320 or $330 or $600 or whatever the number happens to be. How do I figure out the sum of how much she actually paid? Somebody be brave. How do I figure out how much money that Lily has paid to the bank? Uh-oh. Is that a yes or just a stretch? First you stretch, then you do this. Yeah, go ahead.
Take like what we got for that minus like
Sort of, okay. What we just got was how much she borrowed, right? Because she just borrowed $310,000 from the bank. How would you figure out, let's slow down for a sec. Let's say I'm going to talk about Matt again. Matt, let's say I give you $1,000 a week for a year. How much money will I have given you? I'll give you $1,000, sorry? Because I like you. So I'm giving you $1,000 a month, let's change it, so I don't like it that much. $1,000 a month for a year. How much money will I give you? How much? So how'd you get that? Good? 1,000 times 12. So what we did was, we took the amount each one was times the number of times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply my 2,000 times your n. My n in this case was 3,000.
300.
Sorry, yes. Okay, right, so in this case, Lily played the bank $2,000 300 times. If this doesn't make you upset and want to own a bank, nothing will. What is 2,000 times 300? 600,000. Just because I want to show off again, I'm going to do this in my head. Okay, if that isn't depressing, nothing is. Therefore, the bank made that is depressing. I'm not sure bank, that makes sense. Yes, go ahead, Madison.
How did you find out what payments was again?
One more time, sir?
How did you figure out what payments was?
Okay, because initially, because she paid, what happened was every month she paid $2,000, right? And then she ended up paying it 300 times. That's your N. So
So payments is always going to be RN.
yes, yeah, for that. Okay. So isn't that no one else is shocked or depressed by that? Right. Generally, what happens is when you borrow money for like a mortgage, you're paying twice what your mortgage is. So remember that. Okay? Yes.
Isn't 6% high?
It is high right now, but here's the thing, Taylor. Historically, 6% is still low. Like, and I'm going to tell the story tomorrow. My father in 1981 had 23% on his mortgage.
My parents' mortgage was 2.5.
I know, but that's what it is now. But I'm saying historically, if you look at the all-time rates, we're at the all-time lowest. That's minus 2.5 right now. But if you look at the all-time rates, like anything under 10 is normally good. So eventually it's going to bounce up a little bit, which is going to freak people out. Okay, right? That because like if the interest rate was 2.5, she could afford a lot more house. You know what I mean? Like she could, instead of borrowing 310,000, she'd be able to borrow 400,000, right? Or 500,000, be able to borrow a lot more money, right?
Does it bounce up or down when you're already locked into your mortgage?
Because you're only locked in for 5 years at a time.
Oh.
So let's say
That's sneaky.
it is sneaky, right? So like for me now, I'm locked in. I got locked in for 10 years. I paid a little bit higher, but I thought this is unbelievable. I can't quit. I'm down like I got mine at 2.8, but for 10 years instead of 2.5 and 5. So I'm locked in. So if it drops, then well, I'm bad news. If it goes up to 3% or 4%, right, which they're always threatening to do, then I'm still going to be okay for the longer haul, right? And that's where people are going to get into trouble, right? Because if she borrows this money, right, and all of a sudden then if the interest rate rises on her, she still has to make her payments, but it'll just be higher payments. Well, what if you can't afford them? Well, then you can't. You got to cut the NFL network, and you got to maybe sell your car or whatever you need to do, right, to keep your house, right? And that's what people are worried about. It's going to happen to Canada. Not to scare you guys. We'll talk to you about this tomorrow, right? But they lock in 5 years at a time. Sorry for bringing you down. Let's do example 2. This will make you happy, right? Maybe not. The saving one is much more, I hate to say this, guys, the saving one is much more glamorous. I wish I was here yesterday. Like, saving money, everybody's rich, we're all happy, we all have $800,000 in 15 years, it's all good, okay? The saving one is, the borrowing one is more depressing.